being present. What does this mean? We're going to establish that today and hopefully gain an insight on why we should be being present or striving to be as present as possible, right? So if we're not present and if we're living in the past, for example, this means that we're in our heads, right? We're thinking of either memories, which aren't always good, but aren't always bad. So sometimes reminiscing on good times, always fun to do, always fine. But also just living through trauma, something that's happened to you in the past or me or myself in the past, and it haunts you to this day. You haven't escaped its grasp, right? It controls maybe not daily actions, but it controls thoughts and maybe actions that you do weekly or monthly. This obviously isn't healthy and something I want to strive to break out of. And being present helps that, right? Because if you're present, guess what? You're not thinking about the past. Your pure focus is on the present and being here right now. You're focusing on your breathing, you're feeling what's going on, you're looking around. You don't have any thoughts as such. You're just doing. You see and you do. You don't have too much thoughts. And I don't want to get this confused with not thinking before doing something, but not overthinking it as well. For example, overthinking the past, and you may have been in a sport accident. You may have, for example, for me, I played football and I broke my arm. I may have attached this negative feeling of playing football to breaking an arm and causing an injury and pain to myself. And yeah, I did have that for some time, but going forward, you shouldn't have that attachment to sport because you're limiting yourself to that, right? This maybe isn't an extreme example. Some other examples are more extreme, but I'm not letting this bad experience from the past affect my current situation. So if someone asks me to go play football, if some of the friends want to play some football, I'm obviously not going to be scared to play anymore because I broke my arm. In my mind, I'm thinking that would be silly, ridiculous to remove yourself from those situations and fun because of something that's happened in the past and so long ago and is quite rare, right? I think all of these factors play into the past and why it may or may not be good or bad, right? And the alternative is thinking into the future, right? You're worrying about something that hasn't even happened yet. Oh, I know, I'm stuck in traffic. I might be late. My boss can be angry at me. Why are you worrying about that? Who cares? Realistically, who really cares? These little menial things that eat up so much of your processing power in your brain. You only have X amount a day. Let's say you start with 100 and you have your brain's a battery. You're going to run out of juice if you're already by 9 a.m. worrying about, oh, am I going to get to work on time? Oh, did I close the fridge properly? Oh, did I shut my door when I left the car properly? These little things that all eat up and all take parts of your brain and part of your process. Of course that's not healthy. Of course. Why are you doing this? Why? Simply asking why. And the funny thing is, the brain likes to create things that aren't real. Your perception is your reality, right? And so if you're able to fully take control of your brain and not let all these egoic thoughts that come in, it wants to have a problem, it wants a problem to solve, and so it'll make stuff up. Like I said, for example, oh, you left the fridge door open. No, you didn't. You just say you didn't and be confident in your actions that you do. You shut the fridge this morning. Obviously, again, it's a menial example, but these are the type of daily, tasks that actually affect us rather than extreme ones. These ones are people out there, maybe even yourself, get affected by simple things like this and overthinking. Living in the future prevents you from actually living the present and enjoying life and feeling life as it should be felt. You shouldn't be stuck in the past, but you also shouldn't be looking too forward into the future. It's the same principle applies to what do you want to do in a year's time, or what do you want to be doing in a year's time. Okay, it's cool to have a rough idea, but it's absolutely ludicrous to even be trying to follow this step by step because it's impossible. As shown by 2020 and 2021, things can flip around in an instant, right? And so living in the present and all this planning and you saying, oh, once I'm here, I can do this, X, Y, Z. No, do now. Start doing stuff now. Focus on what you can do within the day instead of planning 5-10 years time. Well, who cares about that? It's going to change. You're going to change. The whole world's going to change by that time. So if you're living in the now and you're not limiting yourself to future thoughts, but you're also not limiting yourself to past thoughts, you experience more. You're more fulfilled because you don't have any worry. You don't have anxiety as much because you don't have those intricate things that are, or details that are eating you up from the inside that you did or didn't do, or that hasn't even happened yet, or that has happened in the past. But since it's in the past, why does it matter as much, right? There was a famous video, or a video I watched on a podcast where I think it was the 3-minute rule, the 5-minute rule, where you let all your emotions out that's happened, to an action that's happened, or someone that something said, or sorry, something that someone said in the past. Let your actions out, let your emotions out, move on, because it's done. You know, you going forward is what your future self wants. Your future self does not want you in the same situation in 5 years' time, worrying about the thing that happened 5 years ago, right? So do yourself a favor and snap out of living in the past and focus on being in the present, because your future self will thank you for it, and your future self will eventually be your present self, right? I think it's beautiful to see development in yourselves, right? And development in myself, I love seeing development in either psychological ways, emotional ways, physical ways. There's loads of ways you can develop yourself, mind, body, however you want to pronounce it. And I think one of these ways is living through the present, living in the present, and striving to be a better version of yourself through living in the present, because you can't do that in the past, and you definitely can't do that in the future. So if you're focusing on these two things, how are you going to see true progress? I'm going to leave you as a quote as always. This one's by Albert Einstein. The best preparation for the future is to live as if there were none.